Hi, in this video we're going to be creating new features. We can create new features using the create new features over here, or you can use the task assistant, which has been made a little bit more convenient for you. Let me quickly show you how these feature templates works for you. So if you press this button over here, um, you are going to be seeing a lot of templates. On my screen you'll find a lot of them, but on yours you may only find TMC camera, traffic signal, and then speed bumps and speed limits and so on. Now, if you want to create a TMC camera, for example, new feature, you need to click here and then click on the screen wherever you want the traffic camera to be placed, right? So that's what you can do, and it's as simple as that, creating the new features. Since this is a test version, I'm just going to click and show you how to create. Then the other method is for like creating something like a line, for example, a speed limit line going along this street over here. So you may notice that while I start um, digitizing, I accidentally snap to that. So I can give a right click and then I can say delete sketch, which is it's like a cancel. So instead, I will make sure that I zoom in a little bit more closer by, my mouse wheel sort of zooms in and out. And then go and let's say you connect to the street, pavement edge over here. And then you connect to that. And then once you're done, give a right click and then you can say finish sketch. Okay. So in these cases, as soon as you create the feature, you may need to just go and say, okay, look at the attributes with the attribute button, and then you can type in, um, let's say the speed limit. You can even pick from here, for example, because the legend, the symbology is based on that. So I can say that's 30, just showing you an example. So this is how the speed lines work, how you can digitize lines, new lines, or how you can create the new point features and so on. I have streamlined all the workflows so we can go through these create new features workflows over here for now, and that will walk you through some specific steps. It's a little bit more like organized to a certain workflow. This is more like, okay, you know exactly what you're doing, so you know you have to navigate to a certain location and those kind of things. But here it's very specific. Okay, so now that I've shown you how to digitize new features using the feature templates, I'm just going to close this for the moment. Okay, and this one also. Um, and maybe unselect everything and sort of pan to a different area. Okay, well, creating new features. What we have said directly over here is how to create the new speed limits, new preferred parking, and all of these. So these workflows are arranged in this way, right? So the first thing when you want to implement any of these workflows is that you press on, for example, new speed limits. The first thing that pops up is tell me where you want to create it. So you may have to navigate to that location. In your editor manual, you have a lot of methods we have shown for finding a feature and then finding, a, let's say, a street name or something like that. But my easiest way is to go through this here. Okay. For example, I could say ninth and orange, and then press the find button, and then it shows. So once you do that, you can give a right click and then say pan to. Okay, so now that you found a match, so that's what you have at ninth and orange. So then you close this box over here and you want to create a speed limit between this to this location here. Okay, so you can zoom in a little bit closer in that area using your zoom tool if you wanted to. Okay, and go on to the next step, create new speed limits line and assign the attributes. Notice as I hover there, you will see the help that comes up at the bottom. Um, and it says bring your mouse cursor. These are all like helpful hints. Um, So I'm going to sort of go through these steps over here. If you, as soon as you press that, um, you can go and start. As you see, your cursor turns into something that will allow you to digitize, and you're kind of like snapping. If you want to draw this, the speed limits along the street pavement condition edge, you can go and click there, and then you can, as you keep, you can see that it's snapping. Now, if you don't want to snap it, you can hold your space bar and then it will temporarily stop snapping and you can draw anywhere else. Okay, however, I do like and encourage snapping to the feature. So let's say you want to draw till here, this point. Okay, let's assume you're done with this. Then you can press the F2 button. Mm, that way you can finish the sketch. You can also give a right click and say finish sketch. Okay, as soon as you're done with the speed limits, then you get this dialog box for filling in the attributes. You can go in and fill the attributes. The first thing maybe you want to fill in is your speed limit. So you can again press this button here and you can, let's say, call it, maybe it's a 25. So say 25, right? And like that, the other attributes, description, you can fill them all. But once, let's say, you're done with all of your attributes, and then maybe like a system ID, um, and then a date for this, and for the date you can always like pick from here, right? So that's how you can change. As you keep inputting the data, you might see labels and things like that show up. Now once you're done with the speed limits, you can say finish, and then that's it. You are done with creating the speed limit feature. Okay, now let's go on to see the next feature, which is the preferred parking. Very similar workflow, right? So let me then just go for, let's say, preferred parking, right? And instead of 9th and Orange, I'll say I want to go to 3900 Main Street, and we'll see what comes up. So it did find Riverside, California, 3900 Main Street. So you can pan to it. Okay, so that's the 3900 Main Street. And let's assume that you want to have a preferred parking drawn along this edge over here. Okay, so what you will need to do is then go and press this. And again, it's the similar instructions like how you had for the other one, but instead of going to the center line, you want to maybe draw along this edge of the parcels over here. So maybe you can say go here and then go here. This is just an example. I know you probably don't have any preferred parking right there. Um, and then once you're done, you can say press F2 and you're done with that. And then you can give in the information, you know, um, and then comments. Okay, so all the information that you want to give, you can give on this new preferred parking. Once you're done with everything, you will then go and say the point B, which is click to finish. As soon as you do that, your new feature gets unselected so that you don't accidentally edit it again. That's the whole goal of this click to finish over here. Okay, so and if you want, you can go, you are on the identify tool already by then, and so you can click and see and identify all the features, make sure your data looks correct there. Okay, so that is basically creating the new preferred parking. Okay, so now let's move on to the new speed bumps. Okay, so speed bumps, when you want to create them, I know that you've been going by addresses, right? So for example, um, I'm trying to think of an address example. Okay, so let's assume you need to create a speed bump at 8489 Shalimar Place, just an example, right? So when you press that, this find button automatically shows up. You will say 8489 Shalimar Place, and then found an address, and you will say pan to that address. Okay, so you are at 8489 Shalimar Place and you need to place a speed bump. Most likely you needed a speed bump like right here in front of that house, right? So what you would need to do is then go here and create a speed bump. Um, and when you do that, it's going to ask you where to place it. So you might want to usually have speed bumps right on the street center line. So you can kind of like hover over it and it snaps right there. Okay. So that's where you create the speed bump. And then you're asked to fill in the attributes. So maybe date installed, just a date picker that maybe it just got installed this Wednesday, and then you have to give the address 8489 Shalimar Place. Okay, and then I am trying to think any other comments or anything else. You can fill all of that information in there, and your speed bump gets created. What you should do then is click to finish. So that's how your speed bumps get created. Similar process, very, very similar for the other things, which is the TMC camera. TMC cameras usually are at street intersections, right? So let's say you want one at Orange and Ninth. So the first thing you want to do is click there on new TMC camera. It's going to ask you where. So you say you want to go to Orange and Ninth, your favorite intersection, or something I remember all the time. And so you found it, and then you give a right click, and then you can say pan to it. Okay, no cameras there, so let's have a camera there. So here's the step here. You need to click on the new TMC camera, and then you can directly place it over here. But sometimes if there's a traffic uh, the traffic signal there that you want to keep it somewhere else, then you might want to press your um, space bar, which will stop snapping it to anything, and then place it somewhere like right beside this if you wanted to click there. And then it creates that, and then you will have to fill in the information there, like maybe we'll call it proposed, and then um, the other attributes and so on. So that's how you create a new TMC camera and assign the attributes. As a matter of fact, if you want to have rotation, you can fill it in, but you can also try to rotate it with this button and so on. Okay, that created a second one. We can undo our edits if we have a mistake. Okay, and then you say click to finish. Um, Sometimes you'll get this warning because your um, camera that you just created is already unselected. And it's not a big deal. You just say okay and move on. Okay, so that's basically how you create the um, new features. Now notice that you're still having the traffic camera. That means it's ready to place another camera. It's kind of stuck on that, but it's very simple. Just go and click on any other tools and then that will disappear. Okay, so that's how you work with the um, creating a new traffic TMC camera, sorry. Now I'm going to go to the next workflow, which is new traffic signals at street intersections. Similar thing, it's asking you for a street intersection. You can either go this way, or let's now instead close that and then just pan around and find something where you may not have, like mm, let's see, this intersection, for example, doesn't have a traffic signal, so we can create one there. So what you need to do is again click this, and automatically you'll see your cursor change over hovering with a traffic camera now. And you can say, okay, you want it right there at that intersection, and you can click there, fill in your attributes. Battery backup, maybe there isn't, you know, all the attributes that you know of. Date installed, okay, we can say have a pick list over here that comes up. Maybe it got installed on 28th, and you may give a plan number, you know, just saying some kind of plan number, whatever it might be for the traffic cameras. And then whether it's operational or, you can say, okay, this is proposed, and so on. As you keep filling these attributes, one more thing I want to bring to your notice is that these ones, create date, created by, last updated, last editor, these are automatically getting filled. Whether you use the task assistant or not, they will get filled. And so do some other attributes sometimes, depending on if they're set in the um, on your um, attribute assistant. So what is going to, why they're getting filled is because editor tracking is turned on. So we're tracking the edits that you're making, and so that your ITGIS can say, or you can say at some point later, oh, when was this new feature added here, right? So that's basically editor tracking fields. And then there's something called global ID that automatically gets populated, object ID. So if a field is gray, you cannot edit it, it's automatically handled. Okay. And then there are some other fields that automatically got handled over here. For example, owned by and maintained by. These are being called by, as they are owned by City of Riverside. These are called default values. They are coming from your geodatabase design itself. They've been set to be like whenever you create a new feature, it automatically creates those, populates those fields for you with something called a default value. Okay, so that's the one. And now I'm going to say click to finish.